This video explains a process for learning times tables from 1 times 1 through to 10 times 10. It's a process I used years ago to learn my times tables, and it's also the process that I use many years later to teach both of my daughters. It's a simple process. All you need is just a paper and pen. You don't need an iPad, you don't need apps, you don't need a computer, just a good old-fashioned pen and paper. What you do is you do a couple of axes. You do a vertical axis going up and a horizontal axis going across. And where they meet, or just past where they meet, do a multiplication sign. Now down the vertical axis, do the numbers from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and across the horizontal also do the numbers from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, we're going to start by doing the 1 times tables, and this is how we do them using this process. So you've got the 1 times tables here. We're going to go down the vertical axis in order from 1 times 1 through to 10 times 1. So we're going to go 1 times 1 equals, we're going to put the answer in here. Then we've got 2 times 1 equals 2. 3 times 1 equals 3. 4 times 1 equals 4. 5 times 1 equals 5. 6 times 1 equals 6. 7 times 1 equals 7. 8 times 1 equals 8. 9 times 1 equals 9. And 10 times 1 equals 10. So you can see the process is really simple, but just because it's simple, it doesn't mean it's not effective. It's a very effective method, I find. Now, we've done the ones. Now we're going to go on and do the twos. Same process. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12. 7 times 2 is 14. 8 times 2 is 16. 9 times 2 is 18. And 10 times 2 is 20. Moving on, do the 3 times tables. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15. 6 times 3 is 18. 7 times 3 is 21. 8 times 3 is 24. 9 times 3 is 27. And 10 times 3 is 30. Moving on to the 4 times tables. Now you notice as I do them, I say the question. I'll say 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 4 is 20. 6 times 4 is 24. 7 times 4 is 28. 8 times 4 is 32. 9 times 4 is 36. And 10 times 4 is 40. The reason why I actually say the question is because otherwise it could just be a case of the kids skipped out counting. For example, in the 5s, without even thinking about the questions, they might just go down writing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, etc. without thinking about the actual question that gets them 5. 1 times 5 equals 5. Or the question that gets them 10. 2 times 5 equals 10. So just moving on. With the actual 5 times tables. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 5 is 30. 7 times 5 is 35. 8 times 5 is 40. 9 times 5 is 45. And 10 times 5 is 50. The 6 times tables. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. 4 times 6 is 24. 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 6 is 42. 8 times 6 is 48. 9 times 6 is 54. And 10 times 6 is 60. Go on to the 7 times tables. I'll also circle that 5 just to make it look neat. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 7 is 28. 5 times 7 is 35. 6 times 7 is 42. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 7 is 56. 9 times 7 is 63. And 10 times 7 is 70. On to the 8 times tables. 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. 5 times 8 is 40. 6 times 8 is 48. 7 times 8 is 56. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 8 is 72. And 10 times 8 is 80. On to the 9 times tables. 1 times 9 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27. 4 times 9 is 36. 5 times 9 is 45. 6 times 9 is 54. 7 times 9 is 63. 8 times 9 is 72. 9 times 9 is 81. And 10 times 9 is 90. And our last column, the 10 times tables. 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 10 is 20. 3 times 10 is 30. 4 times 10 is 40. 5 times 10 is 50. 6 times 10 is 60. 7 times 10 is 70. 8 times 10 is 80. 9 times 10 is 90. And 10 times 10 is 100. So there we go, all the times tables from 1 times 1 all the way through to 10 times 10. Now, just a couple of important things to take note. When you do them, it's really important that you do go in the order along the horizontal, from the 1s, then onto the 2s, then the 3s, then the 4s, then the 5s, then the 6s, then the 7s, then the 8s, then the 9s, and then the 10s. If you don't specify that order, what I think will happen, and what I've seen happen so many times with kids, is that they'll go to the ones that they find the easiest first. They'll start with the 1s, then they'll probably go to the 2s, then they'll probably go to the 5s, then they'll probably go to the 10s. Now, we want them to stick their order from 1 times 1, then the 2s, 3s, just as I explained before. Now, this is an old-fashioned method, but just because it's old-fashioned doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's really effective, and I've seen this happen with students, and I saw it happen with my own 2 kids. What I would do is I would start by just getting the kids to complete it, and however long it took them. Then I'd set them a time limit, see if they can do the whole thing in under 10 minutes, then under 8 minutes, then under 6 minutes, and maybe down to under 5 minutes with no mistakes. And remember, as they do it, encourage them to write the question. 1 times 1 equals 1. And say the question as they do it with the answer. Now, this is step 1. I'll post step 2 pretty much soon after this one, but with this, I suggest you do this again and again and again with the children until they have it completely sussed and worked out.